YouTube. So, my last video, you saw me working on wands. In this video, I mentioned that the paint on the scepter is done. I got the scepter wand part podged, and the quartz crystal is has been glued into the scepter, and it's going to take a couple hours for that glue to set. But when it does, I guarantee you that crystal ain't coming out anytime soon. I also got all the handles on my handheld wands podged. So pretty much all I got left to do is to make sure the second half of each wand, minus the scepter, looks good, and the paint looks good in that way. If it does look good, then all I gotta do is add a final coat of polish to the second half of those, assuming the paint looks good. Right now I got the handle for the glow-in-the-dark wand drying, and the quartz crystal drying, and the scepter and the glow-in-the-dark wands handle drying. It's two separate wands. I did work rather late into the night to make these wands come together a little bit better, and at this point I can't do much more to them without fucking shit up, so I'd have to let them dry for a couple hours. This is the perfect spot to stop with the wand making for the evening. I mean, the video you saw earlier, which, assuming it's still uploading, which it is, I've been making wands and working on them since this afternoon, and yeah. Needless to say, my hands are a little bit messy, just a little bit messy from working on them, but that ain't nothing but a thing. Now, by mid-afternoon tomorrow, it will be interesting to see, or later on, just how dry it is. But, yeah. The next two things that are going on the crystal scepter, of course, is this copper wire that I have to wrap around the crystal and shit, and the leather handle for it. Now the wands are like 80 to, I'd say like 85 to 90% done. Yeah. The week's not even over, and my wands are like 85 to 90% done. If I'm able to crank out a batch of wands in like literally 2 weeks or less, that's pretty good. Now, right now the copper wire is taped up because that's how they wrapped it at Home Depot when they tape it up and they scan the card, and then they say just take it up to the register, they'll scan the card or whatever and pay for it. Okay, simple enough. Every time I go up there, like, so what are you making? You know, because they see a kid like me with copper wire, they're like, what the fuck's he doing, making Tesla coils? It's like, no, I'm using this to accent one of my wands for Etsy. now I got the scepter and the vice clamp drying. Before I stop for the evening, I'm going to get the tape off this copper wire right quick. So that way, this is one less minor step to do, so that when I go to wrap the copper wire around on the wand, and you know my fans care about me, YouTube, because I get this YouTube live ban and this Facebook live ban, and pretty much the only way I can make videos is to record them on image capture, and it's still a way for me to provide content for my fans. But a lot of people on Facebook have commented their disapproval of social media censorshipping me hardcore, which is extremely hypocritical considering if it's your YouTube page and your Facebook page, you have some right to freedom of expression, and I still am trying to figure out how I was displaying hate speech on my live video. And there we go, I got the second piece of tape off. Awesome. Now the copper wire is ready for wrapping as soon as that glue's done drying. And I may end up putting a wee bit more of that glue on the wand when I wrap the copper wire, just to make sure it stays on there. And you know, if the Gorilla Glue dries clear, then why not? This will be the next thing that I do on the wand. On the scepter, we'll be wrapping a little bit of copper wire around it. Yeah. Anytime I make a staff or a scepter of some sort and it has a quartz crystal on it, I like to wrap copper wire around it. It adds a nice touch to it. This copper is a conductant of energy, and quartz crystals are a natural magnifying glass, if you will, for energy and shit. So basically, this is like if your wand was fire, then the quartz crystal is like gasoline, and this would be the match that ignites it, metaphorically speaking. No, that is a pretty fire looking scepter, though. I will say that is nice. There's a little bit of white at the top of it, but not a whole lot. Most of it's on the inside underneath the crystal. And yeah, that turned out a lot better than expected. I was getting frustrated with it earlier because the crystal didn't want to go in there, but I made it go in there. I got it wedged in place where it's, you know, horizontal and up straight, so you don't want the crystal drying crooked in your scepters. It just doesn't look as good. People would complain about it, surely. They'd be like, oh, CobraCraft handmade wands, huh? More like handmade crap. You know, I could already see it. And once you got the crystal in there nice and straight, don't touch the quartz. Just let it dry. Don't fuck with it. Don't go near it. Just let it do its thing. And as soon as it does that, as soon as it's dry enough to a point, it ain't gonna come out. I've had first-hand experience making these kinds of wands. And once you glue it in there, and once it dries, it ain't coming out. And this piece of copper wire is a little bit longer than the scepter, which will give me plenty of room to work with this. The first loop is going around the base of the crystal, right up here, right where the hole meets the crystal, and then from there I'll do like a custom little wrap around with it type deal. And then I could literally take super glue and put it in certain spots too that way, and it doesn't come off. And there's a reason why I'm charging $54 for a crystal scepter. I mean, these are a bit more powerful on the wand scale, for one, and two, they take longer to make. These little handheld ones that I make take less time, therefore they cost less money. That's simple business, man. And what I mean by I have fans who care, case in point, after I got all these stupid bands, my fan sends me a care package with a sweet knife in it. Yeah. That draws so quick, I like that. I like that a lot. And I got a couple other knives in my collection that I keep safe in a drawer, which are now backups at this point, because this has become my new main knife, and that is just fucking sweet. It's a nice American-made knife too. There's a little USA right there underneath the company logo. Yeah. That's not the only thing made in the good old US of A. KobraJFS wands are made in the good old US of A. From pretty much every supply I get is local. Like every stick I got for this 13th batch, or did I say third? I meant to say third. Otherwise I said, well, there's 13 wands in the batch, so it's understandable. But anyways, yeah, this third batch of wands, every stick was found here in town. This is definitely long enough that I could, you know what I'm saying? This gives me enough to do a cool design when I wrap the crystal scepter with it. And if I don't like the way it looks when I finish it, I can unwrap it and start it over before I glue it and finalize it, you know what I'm saying? So that is a plus. Dude, if I wasn't selling this scepter on Etsy, I'm telling you, I'd keep it for my own personal collection. That is wicked fucking cool looking. Watching that go from stick to scepter, man, that is just, wow, dude, that is cool looking. Whoever buys this scepter is going to be really happy. This is a great way for me to have a bit fancier wand available on Etsy. And this is also a great way for me to help keep the wonder in business. You feel me? Toots. Which I'm sure I'm not the only person that goes in there to shop. I imagine that YouTube video I made helped with their business a bit. That is a sweet looking scepter, man. It was a bit of a bitch to throw together, but it wasn't that bad. compared to most wands I made recently. Yeah, no, it wasn't. There's a couple hang-ups here and there, but they're pretty fucking easy to overcome. And I thought about weaving this into the handle for a second, and I'm like, no. A good majority of this is going to wrap around. Like just the first loop. Oh yeah, that's going to look sick as fuck. Do a very small loop around the crystal before I wrap it around the stick itself. The wild idea to do a cross section with two different shades of green that paid off very nicely, man. That is some crazy looking shit. Now, do you think pagans back in the day, if they could make wands like this, they would? If they have the shit I have now? Oh yeah, they would definitely, but back then they didn't have Mod Podge or any of that. You know, they basically used a dagger or a sharp stone and a stick, and they carved it. If they're lucky enough to find real quartz in the natural realm, if you will, they'd use like some sort of leather string to tie it to the stick. But how the fuck they got it to stick, they probably had to like drill a hole out with their knife and bore it. And these wands are still made by hand, even if some of the things used to make them were not necessarily made by me. Like the quartz crystal came from Mother Earth, sort of the stick, but everything else, like the paints, the podge, copper wire, stuff like that's all human-made, I should say. Don't want to sound sexist now. No, but other than the stick and the quartz, everything else is human-made. I'm just holding the copper wire up to the wand, not actually touching it, but just to see what it would look like before I even get a chance to wrap it. That's very aesthetically pleasing. Like, I'm not trying to over-gush about this scepter, but damn. That's crazy looking. In fact, I can sit here and wrap this copper wire in a nice loop here, just like that, until I'm ready to put it on the scepter. I can wrap it in a nice, neat, tight circle, just like that, so it's not taking up space on the workbench. Oh, look at that. The loop of copper formed a 6. Right the fuck on. Yeah. Now by mid-afternoon tomorrow, whatever work I've finished up for the evening on these wands will be done drying, I guarantee it. That is a killer looking scepter, man. Yeah. They don't look like much when they first start out, but then when they come together, yeah. No one's gonna pay $52 for you. So motherfuckers have said that, oh, no one's gonna pay that much money for a painted stick, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I beg to differ. The first batch of wands sold out in 5 minutes. The second batch sold out in 30 minutes. is a sweet looking scepter, man. Now, any light that is reflected from the crystal into the hole itself will charge the glowing paint underneath it, so that you might see like a ring or a little bit of glowing paint through that crystal. That glowing paint might shine through the crystal at night when it's charged. At least that's what I'm hoping it'll do. That would look sick as fuck. At least that's the theory. Now, I did take the scepter into a very dark corner of my apartment just to make sure that there was some glow in that hole before I put the crystal in there, and there was. I was beyond thrilled when I seen that. I was like, yeah. Now, because that vice clamp needs all the room for that scepter to dry, I placed the glow-in-the-dark wand on top of two spray paint cans over the workbench while that polish dries on that handle. And yeah, that'll do very, very freaking nicely. So if wands are selling out from anywhere from like 30 minutes to like 5 to 30 minutes flat. Yes. It's safe to say I can make a decent living doing this if I keep it up. That feeling I get when I can just feel it when they order the wands, I can feel it when they get them, you know, as weird as that sounds. It's just sort of like forced kind of feeling. I know it's kind of nerdy to say it like that, but that makes it easier to explain. It's like, ooh. That is freaking sweet. I mean, $54 for a crystal wand on Etsy is pretty reasonable. I've seen crystal wands that are like $400 to $500, and that's just insane. They must be using some fancy ass shit to make it. And there's certain things that I don't give out, like how to drill a hole for the crystal, that sort of thing. Trademark secrets, you know. But seeing the wands in various stages of dry, there's nothing wrong with that now. Now, if there's a little bit of tug involved before the crystal comes out, then I know it's snug enough that when you stick it in there and the glue dries, it ain't coming out. Even before the glue, if you have to like, you know what I'm saying, to get it to come out, then yeah, it ain't coming out. Ooh. Let's check on that upload. Let's see. Oh, shoot. That's, yeah, 27% uploaded. to now if I go to my KobraJFS Wand store, it has yep, 36 people favorited the shop. That's pretty sweet. If you'd like to check out the store on Etsy, I'll provide a link in the description box below, so that if you're interested in buying a wand that I'm currently working on, you'll be able to check them out when they're available. And if you don't get your hands on one, don't worry, more will be made. 20 sales and 36 admirers, that's what's up. And the average item review is 5 stars. That's from 4 different people. Anyways, thank you for watching this wand making video, or update if you will. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you cool cobras on the flip side.